Yeah, my name is Robert Reich. I've done a lot of things, but the thing I really loved most is teaching here at Berkeley. I hope my students understand that some inequality is inevitable, but we are probably far beyond the point that we have to be in order to generate all the social benefits that come with some people having a lot of motivation to invest and create jobs. The degree of inequality we have now is socially dysfunctional. It actually has contributed to corruption, a lot of money coming into politics. It has contributed to a kind of despair and demoralization on the part of the public. It's undermined democracy. And it has, I'm afraid, led to the kind of politics we now have. Now, do I want all my students to know that? No, I don't teach that way. I teach much more of a questioning approach. I want my students to question their own assumptions. I want them to talk to people who disagree with them. I want them to learn a kind of to become more critical in terms of their judgment. I don't care whether they know what I think.
Robert Reich was the Secretary of Labor under President Bill Clinton, on the policy planning staff at the Federal Trade Commission with the Carter administration, and an assistant to the Solicitor General in the Ford administration.
I'm very proud of the fact that we increased the minimum wage, even though the Congress at that time was Republican. Both houses were controlled by Republicans. I'm proud of the fact that we expanded something called the Earned Income Tax Credit, which is the largest anti-poverty program in the federal government. I'm proud that many, many people got the kind of education and training they need to get good jobs, including women who I made sure got into a non-traditional women's program. We also attacked sweatshops across America. And by sweatshops, I mean places where people often who are here undocumented were exploited by employers, imprisoned essentially, paid very little, if anything at all. We shut them down. The hardest part of translating policy into politics is that politics takes place on a different planet. It's very easy, relatively speaking, to come up with a terrific policy idea, but it's very, very difficult to get a great policy idea implemented if you don't have the political backing. 9/10 of the challenge is to create a strong public demand for something that is in fact needed. I'm much more optimistic for a number of reasons, because I think that people now see it. They see the consequences of massive inequality. They see what happens to democracy. Most Americans are appalled by what's happened. Many people are asking, well, how did this happen and how can we reverse it? And they see widening inequality at the center of the problem. So there's more and more support for a wealth tax, or a tax that essentially taxes all capital gains throughout somebody's life. There's a lot of support for a universal basic income, much more than there was before. I think that's partly driven by artificial intelligence, by AI. People see that AI is going to wipe out a lot of professional jobs. And so they say, what's the answer? It's got to be a universal basic income. There's no single solution. A wealth tax, a tax on lifetime capital gains, a universal basic income, they're all pieces of the puzzle. Profit sharing is another big piece of the puzzle. Companies that do well should be sharing the benefits of their doing better and better with their employees. And if we have to create incentives for that, we should create incentives.
Coming up short, a memoir of My America, is Robert Reich's 18th book. The New York Times #1 bestseller was published in August of 2025.
It's a double entendre, obviously, because I'm very short. in terms of physical height, but also it's about my generation coming up short in terms of taking the legacy that was given to us by our parents who went through the Depression and World War II and helped to create the largest middle class the world had ever seen. But we did not, in my view, in ways I explained in the book, take that legacy and do with it what we should have. We came up short. And I think the current administration in Washington is the best evidence of that. Years ago, Sam said, Dad, I understand that you have a lot of faith in books, and you've written a lot of books, and you want to write books, that's perfectly fine. But if you want to reach young people, my generation or younger, you've got to think hard about using social media. And he runs, it used to be called collegehumor.com. Now it's Dropout TV. And he's doing wonderful things. He's very funny. And he uses humor. He's actually taught me a great deal about how humor can be helpful.
The documentary follows Reich's last semester teaching wealth and poverty at UC Berkeley. The last class is directed by Elliot Kirshner, produced by Heather Kinlaw Lofthouse, and edited by Josh Melrod.
The movie, I really don't get credit for. The director, very, very talented producer, editor, they interviewed me and they put together something that is quite magical, people tell me. I'm a little bit too close to it to see it, but yes, film is another medium for educating. And this film, it's a love letter to my class, classes here at Berkeley. The message for my students and for, I hope there are many, many others who are my students indirectly, is to fight for what you believe in and spend your life dedicated to what you believe in. Don't go into an occupation or a career that is a dead end in terms of your fire, your energy, your passion, your love. No, it's not worth it. I'm mostly optimistic, though, because of the students that I've been teaching in recent years, who are more committed, more dedicated, more absolutely determined to make the world a better place.